What's up, the Dawn here, reporting to you live from the city of Cernium. Today I'm going to show you guys what Paladin's all about. Recently there's been a buzz about the balance update coming up earlier than expected. There are lots of characters that got lots of buffs in this new update, and one of those classes is none other than Paladin. So today we are going to explore Paladin, see whether you guys would consider him a viable contender for upcoming Hyperburn as your main or your boss meal.
I judge you. I am with you. Light prevail. I will punish iniquity.
First of all, let's go over some of the Paladin skills. The only skill that you need to be worried about is upward charge, since Paladin doesn't have a regular up jump. Rush, which is just a charge skill. Divine Charge, which is your main mobbing skill. Blast, which is your main bossing skill. Heaven's Hammer, your mobbing ult, which recharges every 15 seconds. Sacrosanctity, which gives you invincibility for up to 30 seconds and can be cancelled for shorter cooldowns. Smite Shield, your binding skill. And Hammers Up the Righteous. As you can see, the hammers up here, they float around you. You activate it, they turn into big hammers that deals damage. And Mighty Mjolnir, these are both your mobbing and bossing skills. And then there's Grand Guardian, which is your bossing ult. Need to hold down onto it and for the full damage. And Sacred Bastion, which is also your ult, since this is your origin skill. If you're planning to party, then you also need to know about the Divine Echo. You can choose and mark one of your party member as a partner with numpad. Which can take your buffs and skills. Can't really show it to you guys here because I don't have a party member. But, for example, you usually party up with Night Lords and Night Walkers who don't really have any invincibility. Activate your buffs and then Sacrosanctity before the boss deals. You also have a Guardian skill to revive a dead party member. That's really about it. Let me show you the Paladin's deal cycle. So here's the actual deal cycle. Make sure that you have 5 hammers floating around you, so that's 5 blasts or whatever. And then just, it's really simple. Just activate all your buffs, and then Origin. Activate your Mighty Hammer and then use your Grand Guardian. Hold down on it and then keep blasting. Throw your Mjolnir. I guess I should have done that earlier, but either way, this is not activatable on will anyway, so yeah, that's the entire deal cycle. That's it. One thing to note here is the fact that Mjolnir is getting updated in the upcoming patch, where you can actually just throw all your Mjolnirs all at once instead of having to wait for a bit. So note that that's going to be changed. As you can see, it is an extremely simple class with no major complications. That makes the class extremely newbie and boss meal friendly. So even when you're just dealing damage, you mostly just have to use Blast if it's out of your deal cycle. Aside from that, Paladin also has great survival tools. The only reason why I haven't mentioned them at all is because aside from the Sacrosanctity, all of them are passives. So Paladin has a permanent passives that just grants the incoming damage reductions. Iron Body, it gives you a minus 10% damage taken. Achilles, that's already negative minus 30% damage taken. And then there is another passive called Divine Shield that shields you from incoming damage for 90 seconds. That has 30-second cooldown. So he is extremely good at surviving things, but the thing is that these are not active skills, so it's kind of hard to control when the Divine Shield will pop in and whatnot. But yeah, that's really about it. One problem Paladin had was relatively horrendous damage, but that's getting fixed in the upcoming patch. I think that wraps up all the good points of the Paladin, so let's talk about some of the bad points. Having a simple set of skills with simple deal cycle is a bonus, but that also means that the class can be boring for some people. Many classes like Blaster, Cadena, and Mercedes, just to mention a few, have great mobility, which allows them to show up some flashy skill displays. And Paladin probably have the worst mobility in all the classes of Maplestory. While tanking incoming damage is great, there definitely is times when other classes could simply just dodge the skill while Paladin just can't. Whenever there's any kind of incoming damage, all Paladin can do is either this or just this. Also, my personal gripe is that Mihail definitely has better survivability than Paladin due to Royal Guard giving the class invincibility of 80% of the time with a 2-second cooldown add-on. So they essentially have 5-second cooldown with 4-second duration on the invincibility, which is insane. There are also classes that just have straight up have lifesteal that just feels better than damage reduction at times, especially since they have much better mobility than the Paladin, which is also kind of annoying. Also, on your solo play, I also gotta mention this one thing. You are going to be blocked by Damien. It's a simple fact. Even with enough damage, you're just going to be blocked off by Damien. Because of how Grand Guardian works. It's a key down skill, so you gotta hold down the key whenever you're activating it, and you can sort of imagine how that goes whenever Damien's second phase activates and this giant floating cancer follows you around, reducing your damage to nothing. Also, even after the buff, it is important to kind of mention by the fact that his damage isn't like great. It's just that it's gotten better. It's definitely on the average, rather than you know, just straight out garbage as it was before. But we are also only talking about the solo play aspect of it. Paladin definitely is a great party class. That is part of the reason why the pioneering member of the first clear team of the Limbo was in fact the Paladin. If you don't know, in KMS currently Zenin is extremely broken since their max attack speed is still capped at 8. Therefore Paladin helps a lot, where just one class is just broken, since they can just provide invincibility with their sacrosanctity, like so, and just give them additional boosts and additional power-ups and whatnot. It used to be the second best support class, right after Bishop, but now it definitely is on par with Bishop due to the Bishop nerf, especially with all the Holy Fountain also getting distributed to regular class through the core. Most of the teams are just going to be less reliant on Bishop from now on, but Paladin can definitely provide just a great utility through invincibility and power buffs that I think if you're just looking to just go to the end bosses and whatnot, Paladin is definitely your choice. As a support, that is. One thing that I should also mention is that, well, is just on Limbo, is that Limbo has this particular mechanic where there is this gauge called corruption gauge, and when you get hit, instead of dealing, you know, insta kill damage, it just sort of fills up your corruption gauge enough, and when it hits 1000 you just die, which is horrible for classes like Paladin, because I mean, one of the merits of playing Paladin is the damage reduction, but I'm not too sure whether the damage reduction applies to the corruption gauge, but that's just straight up horrible news for Paladin in general, if they're solo playing, that is. But it is still fine. It is still a fine class. It's just one boss. One boss. Hopefully they're not gonna put out boss like this over and over again, because that's a very bad news for classes like Paladin, who kind of relies on damage reduction for survivability. But yeah, aside from that, Paladin is still a good class. It definitely has its own merits. It definitely has its own bad points. You might be thinking your level is too low. 267. Here's my personal gripe with like levels and whatnot. Leveling up in Maplestory is way too slow. So mostly you just I do all the dailies, the Erdus requests and whatnot. Not too long ago, I actually started doing the epic dungeon, the high mountain, and everything. Because I had enough good enough gears after getting 2 of the arcane sets. I started doing the high epic dungeon high mountain before it just took way too long that I just did not want to do it. So actually I focus a lot more on my legion and creating mules and whatnot rather than focusing on this one character. So therefore I do have kind of a lower level in terms of how long I played this character, but still, I don't have hours upon hours to actually spend on grinding. I'm not a streamer, at the very least, not yet. So also, there's an additional merit to playing this class, is the fact that Paladin is the only hammer-wielding class in Maplestory, and thus is the only class that shows hammer in its skill effects. Therefore, if you also like hammer, like me, you should play this character. The fact of the matter, however, the fact of the matter is that more than that, the class balances come and go, and they go round and around in a circle. So sometimes your class is going to be busted, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just going to be absolute garbage. Just like Zenin and KMS, they were absolute garbage. They were in dumpster fire right before the origin patch. The origin skill they got was so good to the point they became busted. So even if you're looking into a class and you think, oh yeah, this class just looks cool, I love every single one of their skills, that's what you should prioritize, not on how broken the class is. So if you're looking to play a proper just good class, good tanky class that you want to play Paladin. If you want to go into an end team, end game team with as a support, play Paladin. It's just that. After the nerf, you cannot be, even as a bishop, you cannot be understated in terms of your combat power anymore. So you actually do need to grind for the end game gears, even as a bishop, if you want to go to the end game parties. Therefore, yeah, now Paladin is one of the top support class now. I'm not too sure about the bishop anymore, but along with I think Paladin might be the top support class after the update, because everybody else got nerfed down so bad on their synergy skill aspect. I know that in Korea right now, the what was it, Flame Wizard is just a garbage class right now. The Battle Mage is an absolute dumpster fire right now. What other classes were there? And the Wild Hunter also is like having a lot of problems right now, because all their synergies are nerfed, and then their damage wasn't buffed enough to the point that gives them enough merits. So yeah, right now Paladin is right now the only class that has enough synergies with other classes. Like, the invincibility is so big for classes that just deals damage and doesn't have enough invincibility, that the Paladin is just such a good class for a class for endgame parties at the moment. So yeah, if you're looking into play a character like that, play Paladin. Other than that, have fun. That's the most important thing. And see ya. Subscribe if you. This is my first video, by the way, and subscribe if you feel like helping out a guy who just started on this journey. And have a great day.